Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be representing on the topic of corruption and the strategies that have been implemented to combat corruption cases in Malaysia. This presentation is part of our Diploma in Public Administration course, PAD 102, and it has been prepared by JESSCHESTER, Helene, NURIN, CHIVANI, and Erin, under the guidance of Madam Nur Farhani.
First of all, corruption can be understood as the abuse of unstructured power for personal gain. It is not limited in one form, but it can appear in many ways, such as fraud, bribery, favoritism, embezzlement, and extortion. In Malaysia, corruption is defined and punished under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Act 2009. The Act outlines 4 main offences, which is receiving gratification, giving gratification, making false claims, and abusing one position for personal benefit. This legal provision show how seriously corruption is treated in Malaysia and provide the framework for enforcement. To understand why corruption happens, we can look at the principal agent theory. This theory explains that an agent is someone who acts on behalf of a principal as defined under the Contract Act 1950. However, agents sometimes misuse their authority for personal gain instead of serving principal-based interests. For example, a government officer may accept a bribe to approve a contract and ignoring the public interest. This usually occurs when monitoring is weak and accountability is lacking. The theory highlights the importance of strong oversight and transparency to ensure the agent acts responsibly and ethically.
Let us now look at some real examples. On 23 June 2025, the Malaysia Anti-Corruption Commission dictated 11 million ringgit in embezzled highway construction funds in Lembah Klang. 9 individuals were detained and accounts worth 156 million were frozen. Domestic assets worth 141 million ringgit were seized, while 15 million in foreign assets were detected. This case demonstrates the scale and complexity of corruption in Malaysia, involving large sums of money and multiple individuals. Another major case occurred on 11 July 2025 when MACC seized assets worth 3 billion ringgit linked to the late former Finance Minister Tun Daim Zainuddin, his family and associates. These assets were spread across 11 countries, including the United Kingdom, the United States, Switzerland, Singapore, and Italy. Earlier in June, MACC froze assets in the UK worth 758 million ringgit and later froze accounts in Jersey and Singapore worth over 1.6 billion combined. This case highlights the international scale of corruption and the importance of global cooperation in tackling it.
To combat corruption, Malaysia has introduced several strategies. One of the most important is the National Anti-Corruption Plans, or NACP. The NACP aims to build a corrupt-free Malaysia by promoting integrity, accountability, and transparency. It focuses on strengthening the procurement system through open tender, clear guidelines, and stricter monitoring of government projects. By reducing opportunities for bribery and favoritism, the NACP helps to restore public trust in government administration. Another key strategy is the role of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission itself. The MACC investigates cases of bribery, abuse of power, and misuse of funds. For example, it looks into cases where contractors or officers misuse public money. This investigation sends a strong message that corruption will not be tolerated and help ensure that public officers act ethically and professionally. Corruption often crosses borders, which is why international cooperation is also crucial. Interpol Financial Crime and Anti-Corruption Center allows countries to share information securely, helping track bribery, money laundering, and suspects who move money overseas. Asian polls also plays a role by sharing intelligence among Asian countries. For example, if a suspect flees to another country, Asian poll helps track and arrest them quickly. Together, these organizations strengthen enforcement beyond Malaysian border.
The impacts of corruption are wide-ranging and serious. Corruption damages democracy by making citizens lose trust in leaders and institutions. Election and politics become unfair, and power remains concentrated in hands of the wealthy. When people feel the system is corrupted, they may stop voting or participating, which weakens democracy and makes it fragile. Corruption also affects the younger generation. If dishonesty becomes normal in politics, civic responsibility weakens. Young people may lose interest in leadership, believing that success only comes through bribery. This creates a dangerous cycle where corruption continues across generations, leaving communities weaker and less united.
My part is really simple. So economically, corruption harms development, which means when funds are stolen, roads, schools, or public facilities are delayed or not even built. This slows down growth and reduces the rate of job opportunities. It also violates unfairness because the rich gains privilege while the poor are denied services. This leads to anger, frustration, and social unrest. Over time, inequality deepens and Malaysians' reputation suffers internationally. To wrap things up, corruption threatens democracy, dignity, fairness, and development. So to fight corruption, we need to be vigilant, transparent, and we need to have integrity. So by working together, we can safeguard democracy and ensure justice for all. That's all from us. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.